while going alone can be exciting. Solo tourists should consider a variety of factors when carefully selecting their next adventure. Cause places can be quite a bad experience if the natives don't treat you very nicely. In this video, we will look at the top 10 world's rudest countries to visit, starting at number 10. Turkey, with 2.15% of votes, is the 10th rudest country in the world. The survey conducted by the flight comparison site received 1,200 responses, and 2.15% of these saw Turkey as an inhospitable country. Turkish people are somewhat impatient when compared to other Europeans nations. You'd think that with a population of 75 million, Turks are rude, impolite, and unkind in some way, and at least 10% of them are university educated, which means there are 7 million university graduates living there. I know education is not enough for being nice and gentle, but it's a really important thing to civilization, and I'm sure millions of uneducated people are nice and gentle. So we have a number that is larger than most of the world's populations of nice and gentle people living in Turkey. Number 9A. Italy, with 2.24 votes, is the 9th rudest country in the world. Although Italy and Poland, in 8th place, have the same percentage of negative votes, we decided to reward our nation by placing it in 9th place. So according to the logic of the rankings, we are a little less rude than the Poles. Number 8. Poland, with 2.24% of votes, is the 8th rudest country in the world. We don't want the Poles to be. As expected, they are in 8th place. Also, their Poland, it was cited among the nations with the least polite people, but mind you, this is not a good reason to give up visiting it. Drivers are quite often aggressive and show lack of respect towards other drivers. They are rarely so kind to let you overtake them or let you in when you're trying to overtake them. Number 7. Spain is the 7th rudest country in the world, with 3.15% of votes. As for the Spanish, I'm sorry to see them in the rankings. They are a people with typical Mediterranean features, generally kind and sunny. Spaniards are a bit like Southern Italians. People are not exactly the best in education, and they need to get to know each other a little before revealing their absolutely helpful character. Number 6. The United States is the 6th rudest country in the world, with 3.39% of votes. This, in my opinion, is surprising because when Americans travel the world, they are always recognized for their excessive vivacity and generosity when they receive tourists, but they are not very tolerant and decidedly grumpy. The southernmost declared rudest state in America is Rhode Island, where 42% believe people in their state are ruder than most Americans. Only 9% of Rhode Island residents believe their population is unusually polite. Residents of several other northeastern states believe their residents are exceptionally rude. Rhode Island, as Massachusetts, a neighboring state, performs poorly. 40% of the people who live there believe that people in this state are more rude than most Americans, while 34% and 30% in New Jersey and 30% in New York believe that their state is meaner than most. Number 5. China is the 5th rudest country in the world, with 4.3% of votes. It is a country rich in traditions, with over 50 years of history behind it, but with abysmal cultural differences compared to Western countries. The Chinese are not very hospitable to foreigners and have a suspicious attitude towards those who speak their language in an approximate way. The Chinese government has recognized this problem, and in a bold move, they have recognized this problem. The names of the above offenders have been added to a new blacklist, which may affect their ability to travel. Many Chinese nationals are also concerned about their fellow countrymen's bad behavior. Been a big hit on China's social media, where bloggers discuss and criticize other Chinese tourists' uncivilized behavior. Number 4. Germany is the world's 4th rudest country, with 93% of the vote. It's amazing how crowds have historically managed to attract the antipathy of the entire world. They are flawless travelers when visiting other countries, but not as polite when hosting foreign tourists. According to stereotypes, Germans are first to grab the sunbeds, incapable of cracking a smile, and rarely say thank you. Germany has launched a series of videos that explain where the myths come from and how to conduct business in the country. Germany has the largest economy in the Eurozone and the world's 2nd largest exporter, making it an appealing and important country with which to conduct business. According to the Goethe Institute, Germany's cultural promotion agency produced a video titled Typical German, which claimed that a German's proclivity to stay on topic is rooted in history. One reason why expats may find it difficult to make friends in Germany is that the local population is not generally perceived as being very friendly. Only 53% of expats in Germany said the locals are friendly. Number 3. The United Kingdom is the 3rd rudest country in the world, with 10.43% of votes. English people are considered among the rudest tourists, and they do not appear to have a royal attitude even when they host foreigners. Not surprisingly, with about 10% of the votes, England is on the third step of the podium in some parts of the world. They have a reputation for being cold and unfriendly, and they're seen as distant and disinterested so on. When in public, the British are therefore very reserved. Engaging strangers in conversation isn't the norm, though this is certainly not the case all over the UK. On public transportation, most people read books, look at their phones, or have headphones on. Trying to start a conversation will usually result in a few pleasant exchanges, but people just want to be left alone. This is just one example of how British privacy limits what people say, how they say it, and when they say it. As a foreigner, I used to open up and have friendly conversations with strangers. Of course, this can come across as cold, but it's not because the foreigner didn't realize they were possibly asking prying questions in public. The conversation they'd have in a pub later on would be very different. Number 2. Russia, with 16.56% of votes, is the second rudest country in the world. Not to justify them, but some attitudes may be perceived as rude due to cultural differences. For example, in the Russian language, friendly expressions are not often used, which is why when translating a sentence from Russian into English, it may sound impolite to an English speaker. Number 1. France, with 19.29% of the vote, is the rudest country in the world. This is a very bad French habit. It is an absolutely anti-sporting behavior, but when you don't win, you can't help but enjoy the defeats of others. Pride is a characteristic of Parisians, and they are often as rude to themselves as they are to foreigners seeking to break a lance in their favor. It is said that people meet nicer people outside of Paris and the big cities in general. Please let us know in the comments if you have had a bad experience with any of them. Please subscribe to our channel and thank you for watching.